anyone else see this?
Oh, yeah.
You're doing it just votes.
Well, yeah, I mean, and all politicians will promise things to various groups to get votes, but I don't think we've ever had a regime before that has been so committed to illegal votes. I mean, you know,
that legal vote.
The Lois Lerner thing, you know, the one who got targeted more than anyone else, there's a woman down in Texas who formed this thing called True the Vote. And she applied for IRS status. Right. And they come in and she's, you know, they have the inspectors come to her family's little factory. They have IRS audits. You know, they ream this woman 6 ways from Sunday, all because she dared to say something against vote fraud. And that tells you, you know, what the mentality of this is. We stole this election fair and square, and by God, we'll do whatever it takes to make sure we can keep stealing elections.
It's thugs. Yeah.
Thugs.
Yeah.
And you know, you're talking about doing stuff now. And what Obama's got, what, 2+ years left?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to think, why don't we just get someone ready to take over in 2 years? Or is it, we've got to keep working now? Well, you got to do both, I guess.
Well, we've seen what he's done in 6 years, and if I can get in the House will actually grow a pair and a spine or whatever you want to call it, impeach the guy, I won't hesitate to convict him. Because, I mean, this guy's done so much damage to our country in 6 years. If we can cut him off 2 years, then, I mean, all the better, because he won't be destroying our country anymore.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as I said, he's leading like a dictator, and it's not what our country's about.
That's right. When I hear about this stuff, if you, Congress, don't do what I want, I'll do it.
Yeah. What, you had a pen and a cell phone, or a pen and a phone, or something like that? You know, that's a dictator. You know, I mean.
And don't citizens of the United States have something to think about that? How do you think you can get away with that?
Yeah.
Well, they're trained. You know, the public schools have become great, you know, indoctrinators of what I would call sort of, you know, dictator values. You know, it's this new Common Core curriculum. They have worksheets now. They're handing out to the little children. The president's job is to make sure the laws are fair. No, it's not. You know, the president's job under the Constitution is
to defend the Constitution. Yeah, exactly.
To take care that the laws are faithfully executed.
Yeah, exactly.
This one's fair, I'll do it. This one's not fair, I won't do it. You know, but they're teaching all the little children. You know, worship the great leader, and the great leader will take care of you. I mean, it's like something out of communist China.
I mean, they're trying to replace God with the state. Basically, they're trying to say, "Oh, this is your God," as opposed to an actual God that I believe in. I believe in actual God, you know, and the Christian God. And, I mean, as James alluded to here, the Common Core curriculum, I have 2 daughters myself. Yeah. They're 10 and 11. Homework here on their math homework, when I was going to school back in the 80s and 90s, and you either had a right or wrong answer.
Right.
And now they're bringing home homework with things on their homework saying, what's the reasonable answer to a math problem?
It really says that?
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking to myself, you know, the bank isn't going to care what you think the reasonable balance in your checkbook is, or the IRS isn't going to care what you think the reasonable amount of taxes you want to pay. You know, it's either right or it's wrong, and that's
so hard.
It's a fundamental transformation.
Yeah. It's tyranny, is what it is. Yeah, socialism, tyranny.
Well, people are rising up all over the country and beginning to run school boards and local offices and just saying, we've had enough of this stuff. You know, this is just nutso. And that's what it'll take. I mean, we're going to get ground down pretty low into the dirt, I think, before we finally turn this thing around. It's in their pocketbook.
Exactly.
It's, you know, there's a bunch of rich people who are going to make money building a bunch of crap that we don't need, and those people are all over this process, you know. And every one of them who's who's got their little leech-like mouth sucking on the Water Bureau, you'll see their statements, and oh God, we can't possibly have voters voting for a water board. You know, you might not keep shoveling the money into our pockets.
With Mark's name on it for United States Senate, right below it, James Buchal. I suppose if everybody didn't vote for you, you'd still go.
Right, so we should let Mark talk, because he's got a tougher race than me.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm for that anyway.
Yeah, we got 5 people in my race, and I recently, as I got some recent press coverage here on a video that went viral.
Yes.
You want to talk about disrespect? I see what you're writing down there. You just wrote down blah, 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 blah for everything that Jo Rae said. Jo Rae is a respectable woman. Mark, why are you not respecting her by writing blah, 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 blah on your notepad?
Mark, we're going to move on. I'm going to ask you a question. And if you answer respectfully, we might
You have to give respect in order to get respect. Right now, on that side of the table, you're not giving very much respect to the five of us in our time here.
Wasting by doing this?
I just see what your colleague here is putting down on his notepad, and he put down blah, 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 when Joe Ray was giving a very detailed and descriptive answer.
Mark, here's my question. Climate change, do you believe that's a myth or a reality?
It's a myth.
It is?
Yes.
Okay.
Where are you on the Easter Bunny?
What's that?
I said, where are you on the Easter Bunny?
Are these really the questions that I was called here to answer to quote movie code? Really?
Representative...
I called you out for putting blah, 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 blah on your notepad, and now you're asking me questions like this? Really? Really? Are we talking about this now?
Let's move on.
Okay, how about you ask a very serious and respectful question instead of asking a little childish question?
Mark, I just asked you if climate change was a myth.
And I answered your question.
So can I now move on and get the response from someone else? And if you're not going to let me, I'm going to ask you to leave. Okay? That's 2 strikes.
Who do you think you are?
Okay, you may leave now. Go ahead. You're done here. This is neither a fair or a balanced meeting. This is a meeting for us to do.
I know it's a meeting being asked by disrespectful, thin-skinned liberals like yourself.
There's the door.
I got better things to do with my time.
You clearly do. Can you answer the question about climate change?
I called the reporter sitting across from me, this Nigel Jackwis guy. He's supposed to be like a Pulitzer Prize winner, right? And so he was writing blah, blah, blah on his notepad as a fellow candidate who was on the speakerphone, wasn't even in the room, was giving a very detailed and descriptive answer. And I was raised to embrace honor, integrity, and character. I was raised to embrace respect. I internalized that.
Okay.
And I saw this on his pad, writing blah, 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 being disrespectful. I called him out on it. And then they fire back at me for calling him out on it by asking me silly questions like, what's on the Easter Bunny, you know? And I think they asked me that question because I insulted their climate change religion, you know? And
that's right.
Where I said it was a myth. I mean, they called it global warming. They've called it climate change. I guess I heard on Wilcow today they're calling it climate chaos now. I just call it weather myself. But I mean, the point is, I insulted their climate change religion by saying it was a myth, and then they asked me this childish question about what my take on the Easter Bunny is, and then they threw the room shortly after that.
You said you had better things to do with your time.
Well,
I like that. I like that very much.
But, I mean, they literally said, there's the door, you know, you can go now. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the point is, you got to call them out. You know, it's the lamestream media. And I was looking at their website they try to put a rebuttal to what I did in their interview, you know. And I'm looking at the 2,620 comments on there, and all of them are against them and supporting me.
Okay.
I mean, they were saying like Callahan has integrity, Callahan has honor, you know, and character. And Callahan did the right thing. I'm looking at these 2,620 comments, and these are their readers making these comments. And they're against them because they realize that what Willamette Week did, and this Nigel Jackwis Pulitzer Prize winner, he did was a bonehead move. You know,
that's right.
Another far-left liberal organization, the Portland City Club, is holding a U.S. Senate candidate debate on Friday the 16th at 12:15. I think it's at 6:15 or 6:40 11th here in Portland.
Yeah,
and I wasn't invited. I'm a formally filed candidate.
Really?
I'm just as much a candidate as Jason Conger or Monica Waby, who are the only 2 U.S. Senate candidates who are invited.
Really?
We've all been traveling the same campaign trail. We've all been going to all the candidate forums. We've all been getting the same questions here. But obviously, this liberal group, the Portland City Club, headed by none other than Sam Adams. You know, didn't he have?
I thought he dropped totally out.
He's the executive director of this city club, you know, and the guy is not honorable in my opinion from what he was doing in office when he was a Portland mayor.
But who he was doing.
Yeah, exactly. But the point is, we're planning a protest, and I'm going to go there anyway. I'm going to probably sit in the audience as an audience member and probably shake some hands and talk to people after the actual debate. But we're planning a protest. We're going to because I was excluded, and so were the other 2 candidates, Joe Ray Perkins and Tim Crawley. We all excluded. This is deja vu because the same thing happened at Dorchester a couple months ago. And it's not right. It's not honorable. And the law about fairness, and it's not.
When the people fear the government,
there is tyranny. We the people.